ka apịakwa ọzọ imechi ọnụ. Ndị be anyị ka anyị nekene ihe anya when we understand this weapon, this harm that has been done against us, then we understand how we can mitigate against it in the future, like I suggested, and hopefully other people have suggestions on how to mitigate against this type of thing, because it has happened and it has left its imprint in our society. Let's not just leave it at the extent of Nana fight is correct, yeah. But what of the imprint all have to go on the community, the societies, the streets, what actually known as secondary school, just giving it all it has with the level of economy in the country. So Kehage make it suggestions on what could we also do to move the needle as to securing our future in these spaces. If they succeed in this wing, they will also try another one. Ikada Agunda. For now, I had to literally come on space with this one to speak. I thought I made name account to Monkozo.
Glitches. So for glitches are
Glitches like everywhere.
Time can add there to so I can in a minute or two. Then I'll come.
Achọrọ m ka Jack kwuo okwu si ya ịbatakwa ọzọ ma ọ bụ na Anambra person adọrọdị. Ọ dị ka Jack nwa adapụgo sef. Glitch atụkwụ Jack n'onwe ya. Jack n'ọzọkwa ya?
Glitch everywhere.
Glitch bụ nke na-ewu now. Okay, Anambra person, when you can speak, when you are in the clear, when you can come along a potato, we came in on all right now. I don't know. Or maybe no way Fejigaka, or no way Fijaka. Amarum. Mana, when you're ready to speak, just let me know. Okay, let's go to Kenneth, just take 2 minutes. 20 seconds, then we'll go to Prosper.
Okay, so my brother Chibes, I think in my opinion, I think there was a solution already. And the solution more one I think it got with even with the standard that is already in place now. Because growing up open and I believe everybody on a space either in with the experience or or something or experience of people in which 200, 180 or 220 and they could not get admission. All over Nigeria, Kawama North, Kawa everywhere, Kafama, would they have admission? So what I don't know now, Kedika is where pressure or this institution. Okay, Ben doesn't know when the befa with 2 and 3 and 4. Keduwa and the buy in this school no buy age all this type of pressure on undink buying. Whether more from the federal universities to state to private, I take one advantage of that standard mark of 130 or 139 to admit more people na school. We can take advantage of that today. Mano pressure the school, no school things against our entire school non buy things against our own people on its own. Okay, the rigging in Nigeria against us. I'm talking about school going Anibo in a Mayfair against the citizens of Anibo. Kedika is Mekafa will more people. They are push people out in general all over Nigeria. I got admission in the name of admission. People wear 190, 180. So we can lower the standard a little bit. Okay, bend down when the before at 2 at 3 at 13 and all of that. KKS way to that standard. Push those schools by you have to admit people because people get frustrated. Growing up, I've seen people that got frustrated. They couldn't continue school. They went on the street or they start doing business of, for just that because they have seek admission, they keep getting jammed 190 or 180, and eventually they could not go into university. So KKEC push over to lower that standard and started not even lowering this standard, but making sure that these people who seek admission in Southeast that they all start getting into our universities and other colleges. I use the mic here, my brother.
Let me just defy a little bit. I think I maybe say a girl, mana. One of the reasons why we are producing the best brains in Nigeria today is because of that standard. One of the reasons why we are the envy of Ndi Ozo, but that standard. Like What am I saying? When you aim for the sky, it means you go to the sky, you're gonna go somewhere up there. When you aim for the roof, it means you hit the roof, you just not on a wall or a banana. What am I saying? If we reduce our standards, jam be reduce quite far, more, mark it down more, and you reduce standard again. At the end of the day, we'll be like them. So we would have fulfilled their purpose. So what I think we need to do, in my view, what I think we need to do is the same way I see a jam, the same way I see a monitor jam, scrutinize even media systems with tech, with knowledge, with expertise. We need to go home and start looking closer at the admission process in the universities. Okay, this is the data, right? This is the number of people. This core na Igbo. Now, these are the people that were admitted. And based on what we know, these are their scores. What happened? How did this person that got 120 get admission into a university in the same region where he comes from, while somebody else who got 280 didn't get admission in the same university, the same course? Can you hear me? By the time we start seeing those discrepancies and begin to question them publicly, opundentially, my friend, opundentially, I think that will create the room for the excellent ones to come up. Rather than reducing the standard, let us fix the process. Let us question the process. Let us interrogate the process. Closer to it. Since we have, if we have the means and enough technology to be able to face JAMB, tackle JAMB, scrutinize JAMB, then we can do the same thing to our universities as well. So that's my own view.
Yeah, my brother, sorry, I brought back and forth with you. But I think what I was, I think I put me film into in those people the opportunity, but at the gates, they the test the university and set up for them to now gain a full admission into the university. But at least in more people with the standard already in place of their 130, 139, like Anambra, for instance, to give more people. And I'm not even talking about this problem because of if I made today. I'm talking about problem I face it from childhood in seeking for admission. Why not in more people the opportunity to break, come inside the gate of that university, take the exam of their own standard. Then if you can make it, then go into that. But I'm not saying see we look for lower standard to go and continue school, but this to give them that openness to come into the school first with the standard of Nigeria SAT for us on JAMB, but to have more people to come into the gate, take the university exam, and if they pass, they can continue. If they don't, then they can, they can be let go. So that's the area I wanted to.
Okay, what you're saying is, since the system and JAMB is failing, let us use our own system to rate them.
Yes, I mean with the system, JAMB said to go us with 130, 120 something, depending on the state. Kai we looking here, push more people into university. Once so far, but another gate. They measure their own exam. If you qualify, then you go in instead of throwing them out at the first. From not even coming in at the gate. Due to this, their high standard, building, taking a high bar for Nigeria. No, but bring them in and let them take the exam. If they pass, they can go into that university based on the standard that university. That's my direction.
That's an interesting angle, actually. That's a very interesting angle because we can trust that one. We can trust that post UME exam more.
Yeah,
we can trust it more. Process it.
Yeah, thank you.
That makes a lot of sense. Thank you very much. Thank you. All right, Prosper. Tell us how we can prosper on this matter.
Hello, Udodi. Good evening, everyone. It's nice to be in your presence once again.
Nice to have you here too.
This topic that has been raised, thank you. This topic that has been raised is very, very crucial. especially at the moment when it is coming at the backdrop of this jam glitch that affected students of the Southeastern region. And I'm really grateful to people like Alex for taking it upon himself to point out this glitch that does happen. If not for him, maybe a lot of students from the Southeastern region will be having the same perspective that they failed JAMB woefully. And the image that these poor results from Southeast would have done to the Southeastern region is that most people will feel that all our previous sources, academic excellence, were as a result of exam error pointed out by Alex. It has helped to douse or to change any kind of perspective that people will want to have concerning the Southeastern people. There's no doubt to the academic prowess of the student from the Southeastern region. And I'm sure many of us here, we are even concerned, we are even more suspicious when the results from JAM started coming out, because the result was something that we had never experienced before. The Igbo people were known for academic brilliance. So, and what makes the whole stuff so funny was some days prior to this release of this JAM result, a government official came up and said that places like Anambra recorded high exam malpractice, something like that, was like trying to trash the academic excellence of our people by saying that the Southeast region was involved in fraudulent exam practices. But it's good that they have been shamed. And it is very, very important that we also imbibe the lessons. And one of the ways I think we can help in this current situation is by making, as earlier mentioned, is by making our academic admission process transparent. Believe you me, a lot of students, even if they are to write on that, even if they are to receive the JAM results, their psyche has already been affected. Many of them, they are not in the moral.
Prosper, are you still there? I can't hear your voice anymore. Because I know because
yeah, I can hear you.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So it seems Prosper has fallen off. All right. Let's move to Ajibusu. Aji.
Oh yeah,
Can
you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Can you hear me? Okay.
Yes, loud and clear.
Man. I don't even know where to start from. Okay. There's a lot. This whole jump shenanigans. I mean, it's just too much. Very, very too much. I've never been so angry the way I was that day. Honestly, I would not want jump official what that day. If you will up because no, it was very painful, very, very painful. Like because I mean, while I was all I just needed to do was recall how I wrote jam twice. You understand? How painful all the my result, but how I felt then. I was then, you know. And then now, how many parents are going with the result? Both are where one you put that now. Oh, am I gonna TikTok below the way failed and things like that. I know how many parents will go see those things, then go tell their children, where you go, you know, things like that. You know, I don't like it when these kids, they put in their best. You understand? And then they get scolded unnecessarily for things that is not even their fault. You have to go. So before this Imago result and whatnot, investigation, Alex and Onya and his team Melo and all that, you know, new revelations and all that. Tabazi. But only one thing actually, one I think I've said it before. Our people, we need to learn how to be empathetic. Trust me, it's something we don't. I think we take it for granted way too much in our society. We just do things anyhow. Can it don't happen, it don't happen. No, we need to learn to show empathy. It is very important. I've said it before and I'll keep saying it. We need to learn how to show empathy. Not the very necessary. Not the open society and show empathy. Trust me, no sensible person can seek a receipt to qualify this exam. I'm telling you, I could not speak that day Alex host to um, space because I was just overwhelmed with a lot of work and all that. We need to learn how to show empathy. Let me give you an example. I'm sure maybe you guys, some of you heard it. Some kids, na Florida State University, bar school. I think that was last month. Bar school, why am I going mass shooting? I was with like 2 people. This was 4 weeks before the end of the semester, spring semester. A boy with that incident, even Trump made comment on it. FBI, feds were everywhere. It was a big issue. It was a national issue, just like this jump. How did the school react? This was they did their final exams and all that. In my first school, first send go the emails and all that, and the chega counseling, mental health and all those. Then the first school qualify bonya obuna what that now. Obu no be kienwelo before that incident no need to come back to school. If you want to come back and finish the semester, if you feel like you are mentally capable, you understand, in that mental space, you feel like you want to come back and finish the semester, you can come back. But if you feel like, oh, B is enough for you and you don't want to do anything, that's fine. I go B, it will be. After all, the semester I go. You understand? There be final exams, I submit to final assignment and all that. Only which are like 2 or 3 weeks assignment left has submittable. You understand? So any student that option to pick, to choose. You understand? So that is the school showing empathy. You understand? Man, the only empathy I need for you go see na me that but he came out to take responsibility now. Emezi umazi. Ana emezi ana shikuzi the thing umazi na ana portrays umazi. Ndị Igbo as the aggressor. From where to where? Jam, you have a responsibility. How many billion are budget for this exam every year? Ndị ala na-ede letter for prof. And they prof letter, nobody even the people, the Osita Chidoka and co that that were there take that decision of these kids reciting the exam. None of them put the kids, the mental state of those kids into consideration. None. News that now I to go some of these kids. So where do we go from there? All the logical thing to do was where this data. It is very simple. Remark this thing. It is very simple. Remark here, internally. On your pass on your bona. On a pass and the mail of ma into the close team of ma on a pass yafa. You understand? It is very simple. Why do you have to make these kids go back again? So now what get if I may jump? Now that's my question now. Who is going to take the fall? Of course, the kids are the one taking the fall, not even jump. The kids are the one taking the fall. So we need to learn how to show empathy. The thing now, I try as much as I can to stay away from these things, but like this. We need to learn how to show empathy. Honestly, our decision making should come from a place of empathy at every point. At every point. Okay, let them go and receipt now. It has happened. Again, the mental state. These are kids. Do we actually put ourselves in their shoes and actually, these are kids. TikTok. These are kids. You understand? So we need to learn how to show empathy. I don't know how we do it, but it's something we need to consciously develop. our leadership, our decision making, everything, it should come from a place of empathy. Dalo.
In short, onye ọbụla nga, everybody involved in nga, onye ọbụla nga. That is what they deserve. Nga. Another person, thank you very much, Ajibusa.
Yeah,
I haven't seen you speak like this before. Never seen you speak like this. Like you came with an angle that people neglect easily. And that shows that that's why we call it unraveling the weapons, because the person that is supposed to make decisions, when you don't make decisions that actually are in the favor of the victims, you become a part of the weapons. That's why I call it weapons against us. Sometimes you are a weapon without even knowing. Sometimes you're a weapon willingly too. When you are making decisions that are not in favor of the victim you are trying to represent, you become a weapon against them because you are an enabler. Sorry, no, I came outside to take care of something. That's why you hear background noise. But yeah, thank you very much, Afam, for that angle. Anna Professor, go for it.
Yeah. Good evening from here. Thank you everyone for your contribution, Aji. Dalurine. The topic is quite interesting. Is it true that there has been a lot of weapons that are designed, and some of these weapons are designed, they are not accidental. Agba na ọda n'ogwe, ọgba abụọ ọda n'ogwe, agba ịtọ ọda n'ogwe, ogwe ka apịrịziri akụ. There has been a lot of series. This last event, this jump event, is more like a the tipping point of the whole event that has been happening. So it's not like this is the first of its kind. I was just roaming around my archive. I came across a tweet. I made a screenshot of since 2015. And that tweet was a tweet that made reference to the onslaught against Stella Odua when she was preparing to make Enugu State Airport, Enugu Airports, Akanibiam Airport, elevated to international status. At the time she was appointed as the minister, before she came on board, there were ministers, aviation that came before her. And before then, they had a lot of issues within the organization, within the aviation industry. The FAN has an issue with some individuals or some big men in the country that signed certain contracts that they felt cheated on. And when the two previous aviation ministers came on board, they could not do anything. They couldn't solve the problem. Our daughter, Stella Odua, came in and bulldozed the whole system and solved that problem. As if that was not enough, she embarked on the renovation of the entire airport across the country. It didn't really generate much ripples or any attack until she made a pronouncement of elevating the Akanibian international airport. And that was what led to massive onslaught. I read countless. In fact, that episode really did one or two things to me as someone that was following Nigerian politics at that early stage. It changed a lot in me because I didn't understand the reason why people could dedicate their time. Somebody dedicated an episode, right? This person was writing every single day, dedicated to attacking or giving reasons why Akanibian International Airport is in bad faith. One of the things that is very ridiculous, he said, was that Opening another international airport in the Southeast will expose Nigeria to insecurity, to a global insecurity, as we are currently witnessing insecurity across Nigeria, that it is not advisable, it is not wise to have another international airport, particularly in the Southeast. As if that wasn't enough, there was a proposition to have Southeast Development Commission. Remember, before then, there was Triple R program initiated by the Gowon-led administration after the Civil War. It was supposed to be about reconciliation, reconstruction of the Southeast, but that never happened. So the only thing that happened, we saw happening, was the reconstruction of other regions, not the Southeast. So that really creates so much vacuum, especially when it comes to infrastructure. I usually say that Third Mainland Bridge alone is bigger than entire federal infrastructure in the entire Southeast, just Third Mainland Bridge. So there is serious debt of infrastructure in the Southeast, especially federal infrastructure. Most of the federal, so-called federal infrastructure you see in the Southeast were either initiated by the Eastern regional government or the governors of the Eastern states. Somehow, some of them get inherited by the federal government. The only thing that is notes very recently that was cited in the Southeast, led by federal government or somehow funded by federal government, was Second Niger Bridge. And recall that Second Niger Bridge has a connection with the South-South, so it is not exclusively to the Southeast. But why I'm pointing out these things is to let us know why the Southeastern intelligentsia needed Southeast Development Commission at the time. And we had Seredec, we had a lot of organizations that were coming together to see how we can organize, how we can put our thoughts and ideas together to start revitalization and reconstruction of the East. I am privy to so many of these organizations. But at the tail end of some of their meetings and their deliberations, it was discovered that they needed a rallying point, an organization that rallies the whole entire region. Because at the time, most of these governors were chasing their own unique program. None of them were interested in looking for a collective program that will somehow put the region in the forefront of the economic development. So Southeast Development Commission became a very necessary organization that would have a binding, and that project started gaining a lot of attention from many quarters, especially the intelligentsias. I remember when it was pushed to the National Assembly and it was rejected. I remember the reasons why it was rejected several attempts to push it at the National Assembly. It was rejected. Now, what did the Nigerian state and the people who are always look for a way to pull us down do? Now, instead of granting that, because at the time that Southeast was making this request, already Northeast Development Commission has already been established for the reconstruction of the Northeast due to the so-called Boko Haram attack and insurgency. Whereas a region that was leveled to ground zero during the Civil War and stifled using economic policy had no single reconstruction program, no single institution set aside for the reconstruction and, somehow bringing back to where we used to be, not even putting us ahead of anyone, bringing us back where we used to be. None of that happened. Instead, federal government instituted many policies that ensured that people of the Southeast were never in any shape or form close to government. So these things are not news to many of us. But for the sake of young ones who are listening, so they will know where we are, right? I remember Chinyere, the first female pilot, some of you must have heard about her, of Nigeria, when she headed the Captain Chinyere. She was the first female pilot that we ever had, and she was exceptional. She was elevated to the post of rector in Zaria at the time. And, you know, she working with a lot of professionals in the industry. She had flight simulators, the best of its kind, and you have in this aviation institution. They were under the leadership of this woman, and of course, Stella Odua. Now, when these two women wanted to have something established, aviation school, somewhere in Abia State, there has been already a designated plan and approval and everything. But another thing happened. When some of our compatriots, I should call them, learned about it, they unleashed all manner of attacks. They launched all manner of attacks, on her. And that project, to date, has not seen the light of the day. Another very important thing, many people may not see it, but I see it. Today, it has just been announced that Favor Ofili has broken the world record. And what that means is that she has become the first woman in the entire whole world, the entire planet, to achieve a record of 150-meter world record at the Adidas Atlanta City Games with a time record of 15.85 seconds. And she happens to be the first woman to ever finish this race under 16 seconds. So she, the last person that did that finished under 16.23, and she finished under 15.85. Why am I mentioning her name? Recall the last Olympic. She was somehow magically omitted. Her name was magically omitted because some people who are supposed to submit her name did not do their job. There seems to be, so Nigeria has a way of making mistake whenever they find a name that has Tuku or Philly or something that has to do with the people of the Southeast. Again, people may call it victim mentality, whatever you may call it. Like I said, you can't continually have this type of problem coming from the same place, and nothing tangible is done about the people who are responsible for this. Because what you are telling us is that you support, somehow enable this incompetence. So what are you doing this, this omission? What have you done to them? What has been their, the consequence? Absolutely nothing. So when you look at all of these things, I don't want to go into so many issues so many of us have spoken about. You talk about the cutoff mark. A lot of people don't understand this. When you talk about cutoff mark, there's what they call educational advantage and disadvantage states. So when you score certain level of, when you have certain level of score, by the virtue of the fact that you come from Anambra or Imo states or Abia states, you may not get the admission somebody who scored way less from other states will get admission. So on that level, Nigeria understands what it means to have equity and fairness. And this, and thereby disenfranchising young people from this region from attaining what they merit. But when it comes to appointments, when it comes to federal government appointments, they will jettison this equity and fairness. Let's take, for instance, the last thing that happened on JAM. And I say this because I need us to understand very critically what really happened, because a lot of people have come out to say that it is not ethnically motivated. It is not, it has nothing to do with ethnicity. It was just an error. Now, let me brief us. If you look at the board, if you check the board of directors or the people who are in charge of JAM today, from number 1 to number 5, they all come from a same ethnic group. Now, from number 1 to number 5, all of them come from the same ethnic group. The person that was in charge of ICT before was removed years back and replaced with someone named Fumi. Now, you are removing somebody who happens to be the only person that comes from the entire Southeast within that top rank position. You couldn't find somebody to replace him with from that region. As if that was not enough, you replace the person with from the same place the top 5 persons who are occupying that position come from. Now look at the consequence. The consequence is that the issue that happened, that was reported, when it was reported, the JAM as a body, we are in the know of this, but they refused to take action until people started speaking up. The reason why they didn't take action, because it is not directly affecting their jurisdiction. Because I am very sure that if a very well-known or a bona fide Igbo man or somebody from the Southeast was sitting at that position or somewhere, within the top member position, he or she will be able to point out that, look, this is not right. But because somehow these are the, area that don't matter in the equation, they are not even here represented. So nobody really cares. Provided their region are doing well, they are taken care of, or their image is going to be somehow be protected. I hear people talk about, what about Lagos? And if you look at that critically, you see there's something fundamental, but I don't want to go to that critical analysis of it. But the point is that if they had practiced equity and federal character by making sure that people at that top level come from different parts of the country, each and every one of them will be sure, we ensure that their interests are represented, are protected. But they didn't do that. And that was what led to this negligence. So I have a lot of things to say on this. I don't want to talk about the gas projects. I don't want to talk about the infrastructure. I don't want to talk about the appointments. I don't want to talk about the quota system. There are so many things that are designed. But what gets me so worried is that whenever we opt out to do something for ourselves as Igbo, you would see all manner of attacks, all manner of, sponsored events trying to subvert these things. And you begin to ask yourself, what benefit will it be for the country if you continually keep Igbo man down? Because in the bank is no onye ji onwe na ala ma gịnị ji onwe ya. Ọra m n'ọnụ. Ekene m.
I had to just let you. I had to let you take your time. Like, take your time. Take the time to just. And I'm the with so much to say still because I saw how you got to the Lagos and just okay, like I go there back. Also, I like how you took your time to just pull all the details, all the incidents that we. But kind of if we see these things every day because they look light, they look mild, and then but when you begin to pick them one by one by one by one and bring them together and connect them with the current incident, you realize that this is a war chest. This is an arsenal. Unleashed. The purpose for the unleashing is another matter. It's a different conversation altogether. But if I can draw my bro, what ways do we tackle this thing? Short term, mid term, long term. But all the man and what different, and I like how you took your time. I'm going to see if I can. What I want to start cutting these things and just creating content from them because they are very useful, very very useful submissions. Thank you very much, Anambra Feson. Dalwine. My co-host, Ordinary Girl. Ngwawala
Thank you, NjenjeMedia. I mean, we still have some requests. I think we should pay attention to them. I have a lot to say, but almost everything I need to say, people have touched on them. So let's see how it goes. Thank you. Let's give people priority to speak. I'm here. Thank you.
Okay, who should speak next? You can ask the next person to speak. I think it's I don't know. I think it's Innocent, right?
Yes, Innocent can go.
All right, Innocent, go for it. Ordinary Girl, please check your DM.
I will. Thank you. Innocent, darling.
Yes, I'm on my voice on Apple off.
Yes, please. On Apple off, ma.
Okay. Akenere m onye ọbụla tinyegoro ọnụ na ihe a na-ekwu. Ihe mụnwa chọrọ ịkpọfeta uche anyị na ya wụ na nsogbu anyị nwere na South East ọ na ala Igbo buru ibu. Ọ wụghọ atụwa ya ofu ofu enwere ike anyị ama nna na ije. Mana ihe nche na ọ kacha mkpa wụ some of the actions somebody anyị ma ọfụma wụ Alex took this period. Onwe ihe ọ na-akụziri m. Ịma na o nwere oge anyị na-etonite o nwere one advert a na-adị eme na Igbo language ama m na BCA na-asị na onye asị ha onye asị ha na-ekwu ebe ya nọ enwere ike ọghọtazi m ka ha na-esi ekwu ya, but it simply means that if you don't say this is where I am, people will overlook you or nobody will recognize you. In the previous times, enwere ike onye ọbụla tinyecha ọnụ n'ihe mere, we move on, but someone decided to take action. Ihe na-eme anyị dị too much. Enwere a lot of things, and for me, if I'm to categorize the weapons fashioned against our region, I will put it on the political leadership of that region, which ordinarily it doesn't used to be so. But I believe that after the war, or majorly from 80s, there was a system of selecting ndị opportunity to occupy leadership position, especially in the East. All over the world, leadership always come from the people. Like the leadership panders to the will and the political power and the base and foundation of leadership or politicians always based on their people, based on overwhelming support of the public. But a critical analysis of our own region, it's as if no, the more you are against the region, the more you are against the people, the more opportunities favors you in Nigeria. And it's just a matter of the societal ills we complain about, maybe the fact that people throw money around, the fact that we don't reward excellency, and the young ones start maybe looking at money ritual they see on the film, like whatever you put on people's face, other people start copying. So because over the time they've rewarded those that are against the region, those that don't want to pander to the people, other people are copying. So the best way to position yourself to get more influence, to get more positions, to get more recognized is when you show how you can be against an Igbo cause as an Igbo man or woman. And that is very unfortunate. I want to tell you that it is one solution or one simple weapon that if taken out of the table, every other weapons will crumble. Because it doesn't matter what the federal government, so to say, or other regions have against us. If we are united, if we choose our leaders, if our leaders are produced by the people, if the people that represent us outside the region are people that got their foundation, their base, their authority and everything based on the people, we will not have it this much. Another place, thank God now, Anambra First Son, Ajibus, and so many other people not here. Another thing, another place in Chokina about touch, if possible, if we have to do any kind of action or challenge we can be throwing. This checkpoint issue, this militarization of our region, Utena, whatever we can do, because I just learned from this episode now that sometimes when you don't challenge some things, it keep happening. And I still believe that even with what happened with JAM, it is safe and better that the outcome is challenged, because you can't. I try to speak on that space. Each time Alex brings me out, my network will go off or something. I didn't know what was happening. It just doesn't sound right. Like you want to text a section of the people different from how others were texted, because you are not going to give them the same question. You're not going to give them the same conditions. We are not even talking about their mental health and other security challenges, just like other people have pointed out. There's just no reason. There's just no reason. The laws were not made for laws were made for man, not man for laws. If you have admitted an error from your side, you can even decide, okay, everybody that wrote from this region, let's give them 250 to 300 or 300 across board. Whatever, that is a remedy that will not bring these children out again. That will not, we all write exams. Most times, even when we are in school, when you cancel exam, that you have an exam is cancelled, that you are fully prepared. If they put it again, you will be lucky if you still have the emotional stamina to get what you would have gotten. So that was a letdown, and I still believe that there may be an opportunity to challenge it. And because from the analysis now, you see that they were texted with a different set of questions that were harder, under different conditions that were harder than what they faced in the. So why not pull out what they already have in the system? So my point that I'm bringing to this discussion is, I think with what Alex showed us, it's time we start challenging this thing. Even if we need to form a nucleus group of people, if we need to fund some things, if we need to just keep shouting, whatever we need to do, because when we leave some certain things to happen in the dark, evil thrives in darkness. But when you open it up, somehow some people may shy away from continuing on that evil or something like that. Or these few points can actually maybe as we go ahead with, I can put more. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I love the point, especially the point you raised about militarization. Honestly, I'm looking forward to someone really talking more on that militarization. I've seen people make posts and say, oh, there's so much roadblocks in the east, so much roadblocks in the east. And then, for example, Kalu said today that this is crippling the economy. This is contributing to crippling the economy. And then I commented, I said, this is beyond just crippling the economy. This also has to do with militarization. And then he made a second post. I went there and put it in capital letter, and I said, "This is militarization." I would really love for someone to maybe touch on that when they come up, touch on that, because you cannot have more checkpoints in the southeast that's not actively experiencing any war than in places where they kill as though it is a death party. You see the problem. This is, to me, this is militarization. This is like the Gaza occupation. This is like an occupation without telling us it's an occupation. This looks like part of the plan in the grand scheme of things, like keeping people on guard so that you can easily give them the order. They are just there year in year out waiting for the order, waiting for, like, they are, it's just a short, just, oh God, how do I even put it? They are just there waiting for the order so they could attack. They are just close to us. They are close to their victims. That's what I want to see it as. And that's apparently what it looks like. Because you cannot tell me that the federal government is not aware that they have such heavy presence in the southeastern states. And why just the southeastern states, when there are states that needs it the most? It cannot be a coincidence. Coincidence? I think
It,
not.
it is definitely not. And you know what makes it worse? Is actually the areas that are heavily militarized in terms of where you have maybe within 1 mile a military checkpoint, you have the custom, you have the police, you have the mopo, you have different. It's actually those areas within 5 minutes drive. That is where heavy kidnapping happens. Like, you just can't fathom what is happening in the southeast. And when you relate with some of them and see how they lobby to be in those areas, is an intentional thing. You imagine how much they extract from our people. People cannot really move around. I don't know. Each time I look at what is happening there, my heart is heavy, because even the places that were conquered militarily in Afghanistan and so many other places, they don't suffer what our people are suffering. And it breaks my heart when I start thinking about what the average Igbo man goes through living in the southeast or just existing in Nigeria. But it worries me more, because I feel, especially when some of us are spreading some narratives, when politicians are behaving, it's as if my major concern is that I feel that majority of us have not come to the consciousness of what is facing us as a people. Because I believe that when all of us collectively come to the consciousness of what we are facing, then the problem will be 50% solved. Thank you.
Thank you
Thank you so
very much.
Thank you so much. I love that part about saying the problem will be 50% solved. I've also considered that, let me assume I'm not Igbo and I'm not from the eastern states, and then I want to invest in Igbo land. I see an opportunity that my business idea could actually thrive in Igbo land. But when I think about frequenting the east, let's say I'm coming from the west, I'm coming from the north, or some other place, maybe a south, and then I consider how frequenting the south is to monitor my business. It's inconveniencing because of the number of roadblocks and harassment I could possibly face. It feels like a clog in the wheel. It feels like it would discourage me actually from either always going to monitor my business or from even doing that business there at all. It is deliberate. And then again, from one of the points someone raised, I would like to throw it to us to imagine this in our minds. You cannot say, Nigeria cannot say that they do not like Nnamdi Kanu because he's a secessionist. Then still Nigeria would say in the same vein that they do not like Peter Obi, that is coming through democracy. You cannot dislike these same two people at the same time. It shows that what they want is not the problem. The problem is who they are. It shows that being Igbo is a common denominator of national hatred. That is what it shows. You cannot hate the two of them at the same time because they are taking two different routes. And one is taking the common acceptable route, yet you do not like them. It just shows that you do not have a problem with what they are doing. You rather have a problem with where they are from and who they are. That is the problem you have. Even if Nigeria today brings the worst of Igbo, even if people bring the worst of person, a bad, terrible politician, and gives to the Nigerian state as a contender in a political election, you see that bad politician from Igbo extraction, they will still reject him. So being good is not enough problem for them.
Absolutely.
Being a politician is also not enough problem for them. Their problem is being Igbo. Be you good, be you bad. That's what I think. I think people is a common denominator for national hatred. And we need to take active steps to push this thing back. It is never given, it is taken. We need to take active steps. I'm telling you that the establishment and the institutionalized hate for evil, whoever is behind it, is being rattled by this sudden awakening. People are waking up. They are waking up. And whoever has made this mistake to help people wake up without planning to do so, I believe they will be shaking and asking themselves, why did I not stop somewhere? This is a wall situation. This is pushing them to the wall situation. I made a mistake. I should have left them close to the wall so that they do not revolt. No,
because drop your off your mic. Yeah. You are giving them two. As you're saying this, like I imagine myself on the side of the. I don't want to call them oppressor because I don't call myself a victim, but the Ndiocho, that's what I call them, Ndiocho. I imagine myself in the
attempted oppressor.
Sorry?
Attempted oppressor.
Oh, that's good. That's bright. That's beautiful. Yes. Attempted oppressor. Because for us in the China had that. When you look at other countries around the world, if not that, but I just felt to tell you that because you're actually showing them things that they are not thinking about very well. They are not as smart as you think. But anyway, let's move the mic around. Thank you very much, Innocent. Okay, I'm around my okay, maybe one year, but yeah, that one for your point. That makes a lot of sense. Ordinary girl, I like your energy. Let's move the mic to Konya with the next person. I think it should be Uche, right? Uche Melody, right?
Yeah.
Uche, go for it.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Ekene m unu, ụmụnne m. Good evening, sir. Good evening, man. I came across this yeah, and just recently I was dropping from Kendisi na Yoruba because of this happened. I was born in Ekiti State, raised. I came back to the east just about that was 2013. 2013. This jam brought me back to the east. Check my timeline. I talked about my experience with jam. We were the first set that started CBT, and these glitches made so many of us who couldn't go to school at that time because I just had a sponsor who wanted to sponsor me, but jam failed me and he left. Went back to the States. I never got him again. So I'm a victim too, and I've been able to can what okay and Nigeria because it's like most of what I'm seeing is that we don't even understand what Nigeria. Nigeria is not a geographical area or what is our take in Nigeria. Southeast, we are behaving like we are afraid. That is what I see. And this is not Igbo. I'm telling you the simple truth. Because there was one Senator Olubodolu Okporoko. There was a time he was turning himself to oppressor to his people. One the people just change. They go pure water, 1 foot of clothes. I think they come, people they throw and pay. They know they fear all these things where our people they fear. The police, why are we afraid? And don't we that we don't, these are not our core values. People, if you are okay, you don't care about your neighbor. Either in a village, you go moto. If una the roads are not hard, that is not supposed to be. You can see what knows and no window na cause royal. That you're supposed to be sympathizing. Back here, go see you be blowing dust. These are attitudes I am because I don't believe this is how we used to behave. We need to come back home. We need to come back home before I have one armor. And I half an armor. Nigeria the karma. These people where they be like them, the oppressor, they don't prepare themselves before they come out there. We need to come back home. We need to change governance from home. Most especially I want to bring the middlemen. People that feel like they are okay, they're in the cities. How many of us come back to see what is happening in the local government? Like my village, there is something going on in my village. I'm from Isugu in Enugu is there. Isugu is a community that has not produced light, that has not seen electricity since the creation of the world. No health facility, no health center, nothing is working in that community. Not that they are not being allocated, but just few persons that are not up to 20 in number took this community around for over 20 years. Now, now, they want to regroup themselves under one person, non-Obodo Igbo, somebody in United States for over 20 years that we've not seen in my entire life. They want to make him the Igwe so that he will return to states and still regroup themselves to continue what they are doing. And still people, people are still afraid. No be we go war. No be we go war. I'm brother I want to go the war. I'm not preaching war. But we need to find a way and cleanse them. This is what we call active citizenship. We need to participate actively in by first before we need to come back home. I believe we should understand Iyanku. So Iyanku wrote this point. Because when on Yoruba, I know I'm a victim. A state government college, I'm the first non-indigenous senior prefect back in the regional secondary school. From the moment of that announcement, and I was like the houseboy to this principal. I knew how my mates regroup themselves as in the senior prefect. School school we just found because school was just found that then. And it happened that I was forced home because of that thing. They played that tribal politics to an extent that I got the worry in your this thing, your corner. I got from someone's boss, they bring it to your corner, implicate you. These are things I suffered. And it's still happening. And because I told you, what are we afraid of? Why? These are the messages we need to take home. Why are we not coming back home? A lot is happening home. A lot is happening home. Let's start from home. I don't want to go back to Nigeria. Thank you very much. These are my submissions. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Uche Dalone. That was so much. Felix, go for it.
Ekele m onye ọbụla ka onye chiri ya zere. Ndị kwuru na-ekwutechala kama na ihe m chere itinye ọnụ wụ na enwere ihe nwanne anyị nwoke wụ onye mbụ kwuru okwu kwuru, ọ sị agba otu ya atụ n'okwu, agba abụọ ya atụ n'okwu, na wegwu ka emere na-akụ. Ịma na n'uche ka anyị na-eweda na civil war alụrụ alụ na ọgụ ahụ na-alụchago ya. That war has not ended till today. Nigeria is still fighting the Easterners. They may not be fighting this war physically, but in every other means, they are still fighting us. They are still fighting us. You know, what is happening now, I really like what is happening now because it really exposing many things of which many of us are ignorant of. When you start to talk about how Nigeria is maltreating the Easterners, many of them say that we are not serious. We are just trying to be segregation when it comes to the unity of Nigeria. It's not about unity, it's about equity, love, and fairness. Nigeria has not been fair to us, the Igbos. They concluded the war, they ended the war. But today, I'm still telling you that that war, they are still fighting us. My father was a victim of this war. Why all these things are happening is because of 2023, because our own person declared for office of the presidency. That is where all this attack manifested fully in all sectors of Nigeria. They have been doing this thing quietly all this while. But many of us were not seeing it. Many of us were ignorant to observe it. But 2023 really made everybody to be aware of what the Igbos are really suffering from Nigeria. This issue of JAMB, as my brother Anambra Faison said, is not a mistake. This is a deliberate act to sabotage the future of the Easterners. Anybody who is still seeing this thing, who is still viewing this thing as a mistake, really has a problem. You need to check that person. And some people are saying that we are turning it into ethnic group, into regional something. How can you, a body, do this thing and you call it a mistake? A whole region, like Anambra Faison said, they just included Lagos to make it look like it's not only the Easterners. But let's not go there, because they know what they did. And I thank my brother Alex who speak up. And this should be a wake-up call for all of us, that the more we keep silent, the more these people continue to penetrate on us. The question all of us should be asking is this: what if we didn't speak up? What would have happened? Nothing would have happened. And the media has already carried it that the most malpractice anywhere during this current jam is from the Southeast. Now, you still ask your question: how did they come to the conclusion that the highest malpractice anywhere not from the East? This is the agenda they have already cooked in their background to bring to the public. Now, because they have seen that the masses are not speaking up, legal actions are being taken. And if further taken, the truth will come out. That is why this man now have to take that bold step to come out to apologize. Apologizing is not the end of it. But because JAMB need total overhauling, you can't have all the whole board, all the whole people who are in charge of JAMB, and there is no Easterner. This is totally wrong. This is totally wrong. And I encourage all of us to continue to speak up. Let us not go back. Let us not go back. Let us not be silent. We need to speak up. The more we skip up, the more we speak, the more we condemn. If we think they are not seeing us, they are not hearing us, definitely they are hearing us. They are hearing us and they are taking note. And the issue of militarizing the East, I'm telling you, like Carlos said, this is a total economic sabotage. This is what we'll be seeing it as. I don't know another angle you are seeing it based on your own, but for me, I'm seeing it as an economic sabotage. These people really want to finish us economically. So we still need to stand and speak against this militarization. And the funniest part is that the people we call our leaders, who are our governors, our representatives, till today, none of them has ever released any official statement regarding what our brothers passed through in the hand of JAMB. Till today, nobody have ever said anything regarding that. And this is to show you how these people are dancing to the tunes of Nigeria in suppressing us. Nigeria has only one agenda, and that agenda is to suppress us totally. What that civil war has not ended. They are still fighting us. That's all I want to say. Thank you.
Then this part of the conversation I'm impressed at how you guys are all precise. Like this thing is very interesting. I'm not used to this. I feel spoiled. Thank you very much for this. I appreciate you, Felix. That's actually instructive. I hope that we're actually realizing that we're getting to the point where we should have a rallying point. Yeah, that rhymed, but that is serious. I hope we're realizing that it won't work the other way, won't work any other way. Because what we have been able to do in the recent time, the recent days, is showing that collaboration must happen. There must be locking of arms. There must be locking of arms at some point. It's becoming clear, and we don't know how powerful we are until we come together. We don't. Which I deny the weak. But the reason why it looks like we're weak is because we are yet to get to that point where everybody's moving in a defined direction with defined objectives. And I collaborate in it on it say and you come million or both who for impact, significant impact. Anyway, let's move to the next speaker. I think it's Collins. Chief keeps coming in and going out. Chief, because not stars again. But did they get code or a code on a network? Ganiru Collins.
Uh, Good evening, my brothers. Keko no me biko no
We don't know.
konye chi ya waloke. Nse kamo drop or end today. Where just to speak on this issue. When I saw this, went for this jam news flash. I mean, I was like, okay, so a new frontier has been opened against us. And what I just want to speak, I will try and to be very, very brief. What I want to speak about here today is that the single most important national interest of Nigeria, the way it is presently arranged and structured, is the containment and the containment and would I say the suppression of the Igbo people. And like the last speaker said, there is a systematic device that is used. I'll call it systematic tribalism. Systematic tribalism. You know the way you have systematic or systemic racism. This is systematic or systemic tribalism. You know, systemic racism, or borrow the racism between just one single person on the street. It is racism that is built into the institutions. So there is systemic tribalism in Nigeria. Nigeria is designed in such a way that it makes sure that the Igbo man never rises. It is the single most important national interest. And I'm speaking as somebody who has actually taken time to study this, just to make the point I'm trying to say. I studied politics to the highest level, to the highest level. In fact, I have been a lecturer in politics for about 10 years now. And what I concluded, even from my doctoral research, is that Nigeria systematically wants to suppress the Igbo. And you can see this in so many different sectors. Obviously, the one we are talking about now is the education sector. We are also familiar with the political one, which came to a head in the last election. There is also the economic part. If you look at the port, the custom, the airports, whole politics, and religious-wise, even we are still there. Legal system, our judiciary is messed up and is also structured against the Igbo. If you look at the composition of the Supreme Court, composition of the Federal Court of Appeal, except for some of the ones that are basically in the East. But also more importantly, and this is where I want to, because of some people talking about the militarization part, is the Nigerian defense posture. The Nigerian defense posture If you go to Defense Academy now, Nigerian Defense Posture, if you look at the documents, if you look at the military trainings, if you look at the military exercises, the most cogent, the most important military exercises in Nigeria is designed to keep the Southeast contained. Very, very clear. Okay. And since everybody knows this, there is no need to go back and start doing the diagnosis anymore. I think the best thing is for me to just go straight to what I think is our way, because I think our host here talked about how do we move forward. I think the first thing that I think some of us have started, and this Alex example has shown us, is that one, we must start to litigate these issues. The reason why we need to litigate this, what I mean by litigation is take these issues to the courts. Now, somebody would tell me that our justice system is messed up. That is exactly why it has to go there. If you look at Peter Obi's litigation of that last election, just that litigation alone put the judiciary in a very difficult position where they have to now undermine their own integrity to the whole world. So we have to start litigating this issue to the whole world so that they will create the precedents, because those precedents are very, very important. Because if you assume that Igbo people will always be suppressed, then you do not know how history works. Eventually, one day, what goes up must come down. It's like a spiral. It will go round to one day, it will land on our desk. And when we start to govern, and we will, we need those precedences to be able to correct them. Because if those precedences are not in the book, are not in our court cases, have not been litigated in our courts, we will not have evidence to point to when we want to start correcting these things. So that is one. We must start to litigate this. And there was a speaker here, I think it was Kenny, that said something about us lowering this thing for our own people. And I like the response there that somebody gave, that the reason we're under attack is specifically because of our standards. The worst thing we can do is to become what they say we are by lowering our standards. We can never do that. If we do that, we are gone. They will tie us down and we will never even have any leverage to get up. The only thing we have now is the truth, is justice. We should never lose that by becoming like the people who oppress us, the people who want to bully us. We can't do that. And another thing that I like is that Nigeria, if you think about it relatively, is a young country. So some of the history of Nigeria are still being written. And this is an attempt to design Nigeria in a way that future generations, 50 years, 100 years from now, would not be able to extricate ourselves or our children from some of the things here. So, therefore, we must fight. And that litigation, I think, is a very, very good way for us to stay. And then, secondly, I think I want to say that, you see, money, we shouldn't run away from the fact that money is a very powerful tool. Why am I saying this? You see, a lot of the institutions in Nigeria are up for sale. Everything in Nigeria even is up for sale. I think our people should, and I think it's been discussed before, really have to put money into the media, because we need to tell our stories. We need to tell our stories. We need to see any of the media, any of the institutions in Nigeria that are up for sale, and we need to find a way to slowly either buy them up or create alternatives. By channeling money into this, it's not like I'm saying that the Jews or the Israelis are doing very well. But see what they've done in America. Forget what they're doing in Gaza. See what they've done in America. They slowly entered that country and bought up all the critical infrastructure and critical institutions. We can, if we start investing and putting strategically our people in these places, and if those spaces are not available, we create our own. and prop up our own people. That's what I thought I should contribute to this conversation. Thank you.
Collins, I
Mr.
love
Collins,
it. Thank you. Your idea around it is great. Thank you.
I have some questions for Mr. Collins. Actually, I like the in in-depth approach you're using to look at this, and I like the fact that you refer to litigation, because that is one of the prime tools. That is one of the prime instruments to combat something like this, especially when you are when you're on the side. I wouldn't refer to it as weakness, but when you are on the side of the attacked, you have to raise your own ammunition, and you have to do it legitimately so that you don't become what they are trying to make you. Like you said, I have heard a lot of people here talk about going to fix our home, because one of the reasons why this is working, one of the reasons why this sabotage, this systemic sabotage, this discrimination, marginalization is working is because there are also some people who have willingly made themselves available to be used as tools. Ndebai, people from our home who have willingly made themselves available to be used as tools in this business. So for that reason, a lot of people are saying we need to go home. We need to fix our politics at home, regional politics at home in the East, in the States more, and position the people who can actually play the right role in those places. What do you think should be the approach to that?
Thank you, my brother. Before I answer your question, I would assume, allow me to sort of rephrase or rechannel the question, because I think you're asking, how do we make sure that we do not elect useless people? I think that's what you're saying.
And also people who can actually stand against this, like speak us
Stand
against.
and speak
Yes,
for us.
not just stay quiet.
Yes. First of all, I think we have to understand where that technique is coming from. Presently, I'm in the UK, and I'm also teaching here. I'm in the classroom here, and teaching here has made me to understand where Nigeria is coming from. You see, if you remember during colonialism, when they colonized in Dutch and the UK, what they did is that they will never make a very do I say competent person to be in a position of power during colonialism. So they made sure that they get the most useless person, especially in the East, where we didn't have established traditional institutions. What they did was to always go and get the most useless people and make them warrant chiefs, people who lacked legitimacy in the community. And by doing so, they create a gap between the people and the center of power. Now, having said that, the way out, again, is we need to pay attention again to our politics, especially at the state level, because I do not want to say local government because there are pawns in all this game. I think the state level, especially. And then we also have to put this issue, the issue of Igbo emancipation, on the agenda during our elections, especially our governorship elections. We have to put it. It is not on the agenda. During presidential elections, it needs to be on the agenda. We don't talk all these things, and these things are deliberate acts of distraction. They will come and start attacking you first, so that you will not now talk about the things that are in your interest. You not put them on the agenda. We need to start putting these issues on the agenda. It's when we put this issue on the agenda during elections, our federal elections, our House of Reps, our senators, our governors, because these are the main people, at least the few people that we can point to that occupy very important positions, that without which some of these things they will not get away with. Okay, so I believe that what we should do is to go to those places and put these issues on the agenda, so that these issues will be things that they will discuss about during governorship elections, so that the governors, the prospective governor candidates will discuss this, will channel this, will debate this. Put this on the agenda. These things are not usually on the agenda when our elections are coming up. We usually get distracted by unnecessary things. So this is what I think we should do. Put it on the agenda. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mr. Collins. I think it's Chief for watching the mellow. 1 year for. Okay. Bobby is here. After Bobby is Chief. After Chief is Chekube. Chekube. All right, Bobby, go for it.
Okay, thank you. First of all, yeah, I'd like to thank all the speakers. They've spoken quite well, right? So just permit me to give a bit of summary of that meeting Alex had with, where we all, talked about the issue with JAM and stuff, right? So the reason they were able to articulate, or the reasons they were able to articulate, right, was that they had meetings and stakeholders decided that it was better to rewrite the exam as opposed to remark it. And the reason they said this was because some people may have a lower mark after the receipt and then question JAM as well, which made no sense to me, right? And the PRO from JAM, I think he even went further to say that people should stop advocating for a remark because the issue has already been closed. As in Oginamere, because you have students' data, because it's not linking in my head. You have students' data. There's an issue with the remark. Why not? There's an issue with the marking. Why not remark the exams? Come in, ask the students that they should go and receipt the exams. And if they receipt the exams, we all know that the conditions would be different. And as proven now, the exams were even tougher. So the people who recite the exams are not even writing the same exams with their peers. And JAM is a unity exam. It's a unitary exam. It's meant to be written together. So if you exclude some other people, they're not writing the same exam as their peers. So these are some of the issues, right? Now in the general effect, right? So we need to also, as a region, zero in on slights against us, right? If we look at the way the Jews, for instance, tackle their issues, they don't show mercy. They don't tackle their issues from a place of comfort. They tackle their issues from a place of what's it called? Vindictiveness. And we need to start doing that, right? Whether it is an enemy within or an enemy without, we need to start tackling the issues in this way, right? We can use this JAM issue as a litmus test, right? A few students who were affected could sue JAM, right, and demand an audit of both the glitched result and the receipt on the resat exam. It may be difficult to find them. Also, if it would be easier to pressure perhaps a governor or two to weigh in and call for an independent audit of the actual scripts, not just to show the issue of the glitch and where it came from, but also to also show what the students would have had if the glitch did not occur. So because that's the only way we can be able to use it and create a narrative, or rather show the narrative that the people from the Southeast were oppressed. Because if the students were supposed to have a higher mark, right? And then you're now saying a glitch occurred and they no longer had a higher mark. And you had someone come out and say that there was a lot of fake exam malpractice from the Southeast. Then that shows a clear narrative that there was an intention to sabotage the academic excellence of the students of the Southeast, right? Also, we should also tackle the company that JAM, in quote, is saying is their fault that this thing happened. The company should be sued, right? There are a lot of areas they could be sued on. Sue them, sue the directors, sue Onisi JAM. Just sue these people, Bugaha court. Let everybody see what the issues are and what was happening. So one thing I've had at the back of my mind, and I think the last speaker also touched on this, is we as Igbo, we understand that we are being oppressed, right? But it is not enough that we complain about our oppression. We need to learn how to counter this oppression, right? Let me go to the military point. So I don't have the details right now, but if we can present in an actionable form, and by actionable form, and I mean a form that is coherent in black and white, that shows that there's been a wrong, a civil wrong, we could sue, right? So, for example, now, I think somebody tweeted recently how much money has been extorted from Southeasterners by the military checkpoints. If we could show that, if we could show how much checkpoints we have in the Southeast, and absence of similar checkpoints in the North, despite the North having terrorism issues, then we can point that it is not a security issue that is keeping them there, but an economic one. Because if it is a security issue, they should be where the security needs them the most, North Central and Northeast. But they are not there. They're in a place that is relatively the most chilled place in Nigeria, and they are extorting this amount of money. So if we can also show this sort of economic abuse, right, sabotage, exploitation, and control, which shows that businesses are crippling or businesses are being affected, and it's also affecting direct investment because of the plaguing of these regions by these military persons, then, we could have an actionable case. Even if at the end we don't win, right? I think the last speaker said you'd make the courts turn themselves upside down to not give you the right judgment, which also shows, that they are corrupt or they are in on the game, right? Another point I've had at the back of my mind for some time is an issue of a town hall, right? A town hall where a set of projects and goals with a roadmap is designed, right? So the roadmap should be designed in such a way that regardless of which political party you are in, once you are an elected representative of the Southeast, you must follow the blueprint. So for instance now, if it is decided in 2025 that the Southeast wants to have rail connecting all states, if you like, being APC, being PDP, being APGA, if you come in, you will do your quota. It will be ensured that you do your quota to make sure that, that's real, because it is a project of the South. It's not a political party-leaning project. It must be fulfilled, right? And then this is also a way to sort of tie aspirants. So you're coming out for election. Let's say you're coming out for election in Idemili South. You're going to represent Idemili South constituency. How are you actually going to follow the Southeastern region blueprint? These are ways to sort of make sure that we elect people who would follow this issue and not deviate from it. All right. On the airport issue, I still have a lot of disappointment with our Igbo leaders on the airport issue. We had good luck. Yes, Stella Odua tried, but she was one person. And if you had looked at this thing from an objective standpoint, you'd have seen that Stella Odua was being attacked, right? And none of them did anything. If today now all 5 Eastern governors say, okay, you know what, we want Enugu International Airport functioning as an international airport, Enugu International Airport will function that way. We don't have that, that together consensus to sort of get these projects together. There's no urgency. We're not behaving with the urgency the situation demands, right? So the power our region has, because we are being attacked from all sides, the power our region has is to have a collective voice, and a collective voice that shoots sporadically, right? Shoots now. So we need to behave like civil society organizations, right? We're too comfortable receiving the boots of our pretend oppressors. So, for instance, now, if you have worked in advocacy spaces, or if you have observed how feminists, for instance, or people tackle their issues, they don't tackle their issues from a place of comfort. They tackle it all out. So, for instance, now this jam thing is happening. You're seeing the registrar of jam. You're seeing the company that did this. You're in the news giving interviews. You're tackling them from international media. You're tackling them from local media. You're tackling them from the courts. You're galvanizing protests against jam. So it has to be a multi-pronged approach. We cannot continue to behave as if we're not being attacked. We are being attacked. So since you're being attacked, you have to counter. We can no longer just cry, oh, we are being attacked. The people attacking us will not say, oh yeah, they know they are being attacked, let's stop. If we're being attacked, we have to say we're being attacked and counter it the best ways we know how. We have the writers, tell our stories. The thing is disheartening, but these are some of the issues I've noticed and how to tackle them. Thank you.
Bobby, this is so beautiful. I actually, I was telling someone, I was just chatting with someone right now, and I was like, wow. Bobby sounded like like I had a conversation with him. Like you're just saying it exactly the way it is in my head. So we're talking about we. There's a lot of mention about we, in your submission, and it tells me that you understand the essence of collective responsibility. You understand that there is a need for these same voices all over social media, these same people everywhere pushing back, speaking up, to actually have something like a rallying point that can bring their voices into one strong voice that can actually make a difference and also be able to do things in the Southeast. From what you're saying, that's what I'm hearing. Because we've been talking about our leaders for some time now. Every time we're talking about our leaders, and we will not stop talking about them. Sometimes we talk about the governor, sometimes we talk about those in Ohanes and Igbo. And I always remember that many years ago, over 20, 30 years ago, I used to hear teachers in my class tell me that you are the leaders of tomorrow. And now I am saying we are the leaders of tomorrow who were talked about yesterday or yesteryears. So I think our time has come. Don't you think so? What do you think we can do? How do you think we can actually take up this? Because it's not a new thing for us. Do you think we are ready? Do you think we're actually at the place where we understand the importance of collective effort? And if
Some
yes, what can we do?
everybody can be ready at the same time. Those that are ready should move. And later they would continue and move. So the thing is, so the reason why I use that town hall for an example, right? So let's imagine that all the Southeasterners want a working international airport in Enugu State. The federal government would have allowed it happen, right? It's a case of onyekwe ekwe. So if we now say, okay, we want a railway connecting all southeastern states, regardless of your political party, your governor will make it happen. All 5 eastern states can actually sign agreements with sort of like an authorized debit from their account to the contractor that will do the work. So when they get their federal allocation, the money goes directly to the contractor that will do the work. The contractor will be doing the work. If they get the permit, we don't need a Eastern Development Commission to push this. The individual states can together do it. If the people who built, the Igbos who built Sam Mbakwe Airport were relaxing and crying that they were being marginalized, that airport would not have been built. They took steps. So that's what we should also get to the point of doing. It's not enough to say, they're marginalized. Let's have achievable goals and tie governors in such a way that even if they are not there, the projects will go forward. If there's an authorized debit, just the way a state will go and collect money from World Bank, and when money comes into the state government account, it automatically goes back to the loan payment account. It is the same way you can have for projects. So if you have a public-private partnership project with, I don't know, Julius Berger or whoever, even a foreign construction company, Acuna federal allocation into that state government account, the money automatically goes. The construction company already has their blueprint, how they are going to do. They will put the money to good use. So even after 5-10 years, you see the railway connecting all of Southeast. Obasaho, whether the political party is from it will go on, right? There are ways to tackle these issues.
Ah, la, la, la,